2025 has been a year of change. As I said in my earlier editor's note that, this year we saw change happening from hybrid to EVs and SUVs dominated. And before I introduce my guest, the 2025 ended on a note which is going to make 2026 special. And that's why Kia India, Atul Sood is present here, and I'm talking about Seltos. Thank God it is not there in our nominations this year, sir. Otherwise, it would have been tough for many of the cars who were there in the Car of the Year category. Congratulations on that wonderful Seltos. And Kunal Behl, I was fortunate enough, sir, to be there with you in Japan. And what I saw there is a new Honda, a 2026, which looks to be the gear shift for Honda in India. I will start with Kunal sir first. For 2026, right now consumers are asking for more and more every time. They are spoiled for choices, if I say, right? They want everything. They want touchscreens, they want panoramic sunroof, they want petrol, diesel, hybrid, EV, all the things. How are you going to cope up with these kind of pressure that is there on the manufacturers with so much of confusion around regarding all these fuels and everything?
Thank you so much for having me on the panel. So first of all, the word spoiled probably is not the right tone. How I believe is that he is now empowered with a lot of options, multiple options. And it's about him to choose and take an informed decision after having those multiple choices. And let me tell you, a couple of years back when we used to have the mobile industry, so you walk into a mobile store and you had the choices of having kind of operating system, a kind of battery, or probably having screen size and so on. Now in the automobile industry, you have choices not just on the body size, in terms of, you mentioned about the powertrains, fuel options, but apart from those things, he also has, the choice of choosing how personalized the car he wants. He also has choosing a lot of finance options. He has a fun of choosing the insurance, and most importantly, how he communicates with the brand. And that's how you see a lot of people have stopped coming to the showrooms. They first do the entire digital buying, and that is how they end up coming to the showrooms. So what I'm trying to say here is that that era of choosing is now actually depends upon the automobile OEMs as well as for the dealer partners, that how nicely they can explain. And I would like to say there's 3C thing. The first is how nicely you can communicate to remove the confusion in the customer's mind and trying to give him a confidence. So while you have mentioned you have so many choices, but it's more a responsibility of the dealer partners and the OEM so that they educate the customer properly. And that's the one important thing which I think should be coming up from everybody's side.
Atul sir, I remember when the first Seltos was launched. At that time, I believe Kia was the first manufacturer which came up with so many choices, right? And after that, it's been a success story for Kia till now. Now, at a leadership level, if you may decode, how tough or easy it is to maintain compliance, safety, and then manage product platforms at such a fast pace?
First of all, I think compliance and safety, that has to be inbuilt in the DNA of the company. So I think that's one thing which at Kia we strongly feel there's no compromise. But how do you respond faster to the customer requirements? Because when we launched the Seltos in the year 2019, we were the first ones to introduce connected technology in the country, and a lot of new features that we introduced. And we've continued to ensure that the customers get an experience which is actually a little ahead of competition. And our focus has been on better technology, better design, and more safety. Broadly, how do we do that as leaders? We keep our eyes and ears on the ground. We try and understand the customer feedback from different platforms. And currently we're working towards how do we get more AI to get more information from the customer across the digital platforms. And based on that information, how do we work towards integrating that into our design so that we evolve our products much faster towards the requirements of a customer. Because I think as all of us know, the race is very competitive and we need to stand out. So that's a constant endeavor to deliver beyond expectations to our customers.
Absolutely. Until now, Kia has been right at the top in that case. Kunal sir, when we were talking about changing the gears, especially in 2026, which is the right gear to choose right now? Whether it's going to be an ICE, is it going to be an hybrid, or is it going to be an EV, which is going to set the pace for Honda and even for the whole automotive industry per se?
I think, Sam, India is a very fast-growing market, and it's combination of a lot of mini markets. So it's very difficult to choose upon one powertrain that serves everybody right. So I think the future holds that it has to be a mix of every powertrain which customer gets delighted about, be it ICE, be it hybrid, be it electric. Probably, Minister Sir spoke about the flex fuels, and so I think it's about how OEM is well prepared to deliver what the customer wants depending upon his needs. So Honda is surely working on that front. I think even in Japan, you saw that we are now strongly coming up with electric very soon, and that's a global introduction from our side. And India is the first market for the mass market, which is going to be launching the first EV, and we're going to export it to other part of the world as well. But going forward, we'll definitely look forward for more powertrains, to come in. Thanks.
Our audience would love to know. I was there with you, but audience would love to know, what is in store for Honda. What are the kind of technology, the cars that we are talking about? Because what I saw was fantastic. Those concepts we saw there, which are the concepts that, that may come to India in the recent time, whether it's going to be a 2026 end or 2027 start, that we will be able to see those lovely SUVs in the market.
So we have about 10 launches being planned till the year 2030, and as the market is going towards an SUV, so we have a plan of launching about 7 SUVs. And as Sam said, you saw a lot of cars, showcased in Japan, but not just the concept cars. They are actually cars which are going to be coming up in India, and I'm very sure that the customers are going to love it. Not just, as I mentioned, in one powertrain, it's going to be there in various powertrains. So there's a lot of excitement coming up, specifically focused for Indian market. And as you said, the most proud moment was that the Honda Zero Alpha, which was parked in the center stage of Japan, it had the international media covering up, all Japan customers looking at, and that's a car which will be manufactured in India, manufactured for the world. So stay tuned to the Honda news. I'm sure everybody's going to get excited. Thank you.
Fantastic.
Can I add something?
Yes,
to
yes,
that?
please.
I think in terms of energy mix, I think you mentioned about hybrids, strong hybrids, electric and the regular ICE engine. So broadly, our understanding is the customer needs are actually evolving. And also the energy mix in the country is also changing. So whether it's flex fuels, hybrids, EVs, so there's going to be space for all actually. And we're all working towards, meeting the requirements of regulation of the country. So all these powertrains actually are going to play a very crucial role overall towards meeting one, the customer needs, and more importantly, towards regulation compliance as well. So I just wanted to add to that, Kunal. Sorry.
On that particular note, Atul, if I, as you said that there are n number of choices, it's all about regulations. But we see a U-turn as far as EVs are concerned internationally. Do you think that is going to have any sort of sentimental effect here when we are talking about EVs here in India or any other hybrid?
I think possibly you're referring to the US example.
Yes.
So I think Europe is now going to go into electrification, so that's going to be a very good learning curve for us. But whatever we've seen in India so far, so electrification overall, the journey has been positive. In the year 25, actually the EV contribution has doubled to 4% as compared to 2% in the previous year. So overall, the direction from the government in terms of building the infrastructure, more quality cars coming on Indian roads in terms of EVs. So overall, I think is positive, and customers in India are also very tech savvy. So they want to go in for newer technology, especially the younger segment of customers. So currently, from what we feel, this is on the right trajectory. But having said that, I think it's not just going to be EVs. The entire electrified technology, which is going to, define the landscape of Indian automobile industry.
Talking about the challenges only, if I say, Honda won the award for the customer delight. Customers are now demanding more and more. Congratulations on that, Kunal. But when you have that kind of a pressure regarding customers, they want everything in their car. And now product cycle is also, earlier we used to see a facelift in 5 years. Now facelifts are happening in just 2 years. How do you cope up with that challenge?
Yeah, I think market is very competitive in India, and customers look for very strong value for money. Actually, that's very important, and we need to always try and deliver that to the customer. So to answer to your question, how do we do that? As I said again, we try and understand the requirements of the customer at a much faster pace. So we try and build on customer service immediately after the launch. what is it that they liked in the product and what is it that they would like to have more in the product. So that's starting point. And we're also building more flexibility in terms of design and production flexibility so that we can try and work on shorter lead times in terms of meeting the requirements of the customer. And once again, I say, it's a very commonly used terminology, but AI is going to play a very strong role to capture the requirements of the customer at a much faster pace, because otherwise just customer service alone, it's a lot of time consuming. So we're going to rely heavily on AI to get this kind of information from the market and then evolve our production requirements, our design requirements accordingly.
Kunal, is AI going to play a role even in terms of production? Is there a role of AI even in manufacturing that we may see as we move forward?
Yeah, definitely. I think AI is more about precision. AI is gathering more information. So the usage is not just limited to one specific domain of the automobile cycle. You mentioned about manufacturing, but very happy, as Atul rightly said, even in the sales part, there's a new revolution which is added to the Honda network, wherein every call which a consultant does with the customer, it's kind of recorded, and the AI is constantly listening to it, and it guides as a mentor to the consultant that probably you missed this part of the customer which he was trying to request. And in this way, the communication between the customer gets much, much better. We're able to understand what customer really wants and achieving to his satisfaction. So I think AI definitely, I agree with him, is definitely a next level of revolution, but it's going to get us much closer to the customer and much high level of delivery to the customers.
I have a lot of my friends sitting here from the jury. They are of a take that, having too many things in a car actually take the driving pleasure out of it. Do you think, as we move forward, possibly we may come back to the less touch screen, less, communication, or less Bluetooth connectivities and all those apps and everything that are inbuilt? Do you see that coming back of an era where driving becomes more important than all these features?
I think I wanted to restrain the comment on this, but frankly speaking, I, in a large sense, agree to it. And that is where the Honda's philosophy of man maximum, machine minimum, comes into the picture, where we don't want to overwhelm the customers with too many features, too many fancy screens, trying to divert his mind on those features. But definitely, I believe it has to be minimalistic. It has to add value to the customer in terms of driving, giving a driving pleasure, but also giving a sense of strong safety. So the core DNA of Honda of man, maximum, machine, minimum is something we like to hold on.
Atul, coming back to because Kia is right at the top. You understand automotive industry like anything. At a macro level, what is the biggest gear shift that you believe that India is going to see in next 2026? For this year, what will be the biggest gear shift from your side, which is going to take the industry forward?
I think the entire auto industry is looking at one thing. I'm saying possibly from two perspectives. One is from an OEM perspective. So I think all of us are gearing very strongly. How do we work towards complying with CAFE 3 norms, which are going to kick in next year? So how do we build that capability across powertrains, as I said, whether it's electrified technology, strong hybrid, CNG, etc. And customers, I think, what we feel in the market is they're going to be spoiled for options. So my slight difference of opinion from what Kunal said is customers, if you look at younger customers, what I see as youngsters, they love to have more technology in the car. Yeah. And way they use that technology is phenomenal, that's one. And second, even the drivers, the people who are driving the cars, the kind of features and advantages you have, whether it's with ADAS in terms of safety, whether it's proactive or reactive, or it's in terms of even driving convenience, comfort. I'll just give one example that when you're reversing the car, and nowadays you have sensors that even if someone is coming in from other side, your car will automatically stop. So it adds to a lot of convenience for the drivers actually in today's world. So we're going to see more technology coming in, and more, even all across manufacturers are working towards providing the technology to the customers. So it's going to be a very good year for the customers. Technology is going to play a very crucial role, and I think Indian automobile industry towards mobility, the progress is quite good.
And that's going to improve safety on roads?
I was listening to the minister, yes, absolutely, because see, there is one aspect in terms of infrastructure, how we are developing, it's going to add value in terms of having more safety, no doubt about that. Government is playing its part, but what is equally important is if you have features like ADAS, they give a lot of safety which is inbuilt into the car. Just as one example, let's say if you are just dozing off by any chance, so you know the steering wheel vibrates, it tells you to wake up.
Absolutely.
Similarly, there's a forward collision impact that can be avoided. So there are multiple features which are now available, which will avoid these accidents proactively as well.
And that's make you also a better driver. So most of our viewers who are listening right now, there are sometimes, Kunal, if I may share, when we talk to customers, they say that having an ADAS is some type of problem. They are not able to understand. But ADAS actually make driving safe because as we use it, we become better drivers. Talking about safety, better drivers. We have seen n number of things happening in our country in last few years. There are some very fantastic initiatives taken by our fellow OEMs like Maruti Suzuki in terms of licensing and everything. You believe that a gear shift is also required in terms of rules that get better people on road? As far as driving is concerned, we need some sort of more empowerment, some sort of more knowledge that need to be shared with these people.
Yeah, I think like Atul said, safety is one of the most prime important thing which we need to focus. And Honorable Minister gave a very scary number of how many accidents happen on road every year. So like Honda, we are focusing a lot on zero traffic fatalities. Currently, all our cars have the Honda sensing, as you said about the ADAS. And it is a combination of both active as well as passive safety features. So as you mentioned, I can't give a data front, but interestingly, the cars which have ADAS have much less body collision from the front and of course from the sides. And I think you talked about the rules. I think the insurance companies probably should think about that drivers driving the car more safely, which have probably ADAS inbuilt, their premium should be lowered. So I'm sure as the awareness about ADAS usage, about the safety, new policies would really help for early adoption to such technologies. That's, I think, another way of the future.
Till now we were talking about, product. We were talking about, industry, how it need to change the gear shift. But, both of you are masters in your trade. That is, sales and marketing, right? These days, launches are big event. Right, launches are it's more of an enterprise, right? Atul, if I say, how do you plan, these big launches? Because you need to have one communication going in between the PR and all the other stakeholders involved. So how do you plan, these big enterprise events, if I say?
That'll be like leaking out the trade secret. But having said that, see, any launch end objective, I mean, honestly speaking, is how do you deliver that experience to the customer? And if you have to do that successfully, the only way is that I think whatever departments you mentioned, sales, marketing, product planning, pricing, PR, even after sales, very crucial. Yeah. All of them have to come together. Training have to come together to deliver that experience to the customer. And this is not feasible unless much before the actual launch, all these departments actually sit together and decide an overall comprehensive strategy and how each of their roles actually stitches into the overall launch strategy. Unless that happens, if the experience to the customer is not good, whatever good launch you do, if the customer is not experiencing what we're trying to communicate through the mass media, obviously you'll not get success.
And for me, the launch that I witnessed, the Seltos launch, I think you proved it right. It was a magic of a launch that I saw during that day. It was fantastic. And now Kunal is also planning for some big launches in the coming year. Kunal, talking about solutions. What kind of solutions that you believe is required for the automotive industry to accelerate further at a much faster pace from the policy side?
So I think one of the key policy initiatives which one should do is that the hybrids, probably needs to be positioned in a more tax-friendly structure. So while we all know GST 2.0 has really built in the demand, probably for first-time users who really want to go to the EV, but because of limitation of the charging infrastructure, maybe at their end or place they're working, hybrid is definitely a great choice. So I believe that's one part which probably could really include the adoption of EV very quickly. The second part is, I believe, the omni-channel. I think in the morning we had a session with someone. So the digital adoption is quite critical. And from that sense, we see our customers getting new touch points in different areas. And from that point, data privacy is another important angle while we're interacting with customers through different platforms. So that's also one strong area of probably we need to look at.
Before we leave, your final take, Atul, on how do you see the automotive industry in terms of numbers and volumes, and where do you see India on the global map?
I think after the almost first 9 months of last calendar year, we had almost zero growth, very stagnant. It's only post the GST reforms that we saw very good traction in the market, and we grew almost close to 18 to 19% in the last quarter of 25. And beginning this year also, whatever we are seeing, overall the market demand is quite positive, and it's driven more by, I would say, the sub 4 meter SUVs. That's in very big demand actually as of now what we see. And also there is demand in general other models as well. So overall at Kia we strongly feel that this positive growth story will continue to this year as well. Specifically giving you a numbers, broadly we would peg it at about 10% growth that we're looking at in the year 26 over 25 as well. But that's mainly driven by whatever we have seen post GST. That's been a big game changer for us as well.
That's fantastic numbers actually. It seems to be on the positive side, which is awesome. Kunal, same thing I would love to know. What is your prediction on the automotive industry? What kind of number, volumes, and where do you see? Because I see a number of our products going and making big on the global stage. Do you see products in coming future making big on the global stage?
Yeah, definitely. So I agree with Atul. The major growth this year has happened after the rollout of GST 2.0, and that's sustained demand, because even in the month of Jan you see a big uptick in the less than 4 meters. And I surely believe India as a country, we're still under 50 people who earn cars in the first 1,000 people. So there is a big scope, and we have the infrastructure being supported. The minister just said we have approximately 30 kilometers of road being made every day. So there is everything which is going towards right. And surely the job of OEMs is to get more advanced technology to the customers, and so that they can adopt to it. So we are quite bullish on the India automobile industry as such. And that's how Honda is now going to come very strongly with 10 products launches, as I said. So yes, exciting times for everyone.
Fantastic. So it's a time for a gear shift, and 2026 is going to be a gear shift for the whole automotive industry. And Auto9 is again going to celebrate next year Auto9 Awards in the same manner with some fantastic products. Thank you very much, gentlemen, for taking time out and being part of the Auto9 Award. A huge round of applause for Atul Sood and Kunal Behl.